I saw USA being lifted.
Nikaona Amerika ikiinuliwa.
I saw the economy rising.
Nikaona uchumi ukipanda.
It's not in this year. This year will be the start of the economy to arise.
Hii mwaka utakuwa mwanzo wa uchumi.
I'm saying this year.
Nasema mwaka huu
it will be the start of the economy to arise.
Mwanzo wa uchumi kupanda.
Everybody, I'm Martha McCallum, and tonight our story begins with some numbers. 3.1%. That is the new number for second quarter GDP. That's April through June. It represents the fastest pace of economic growth in over 2 years.
The economy growing at a 3.1% annualized rate. First time we've seen that in years.
People didn't think we could get to 3.1% GDP for a while. We're at 3.1. 1% of GDP means $3 trillion. It more than pays for a tax cut.
A marginal one. It comes in at 2.6%. The estimate was 2.7. This is second quarter annualized GDP here in the United States coming in at 2.6%. The estimate was 2.7.
Consumer spending was robust as 2016 ended, and the Commerce Department says a revised look at gross domestic product shows it increased 2.1% for the year, up from the previous 1.9% estimate.
I saw the economy rising.
Nikaona uchumi ukipanda.
It's not in this year. This year will be the start of the economy to arise.
Hii mwaka utakuwa mwanzo wa uchumi.
I'm saying this year.
Nasema mwaka huu
it will be the start of the economy to arise.
Mwanzo wa uchumi kupanda.
But I saw 3 nations coming to associate themselves with America.
Mataifa matatu yakaungana na Amerika.
The first I saw it was on the left.
Kwanza nikaona ni kushoto,
east,
ama mashariki
of the world,
ya dunia,
so Israel.
Kama Israeli.
The second nation I saw in the east.
Pili nikaona mashariki.
I saw China.
Nikaona China.
China.
Nikaona China.
The other nation that I saw coming,
tatu ambao niliona,
but this one was like a lion, like a tiger.
Kinyume nilikuwa ni kama simba ama
but in the end, no, he's going to associate himself.
Showe atashikamana pia.
I saw in the end biting USA.
Nikaona mwishowe huyu mnyama kimla.
Because it's like they want to get to investigate more about what is that country is.
Wanataka wajue taifa hii siri yake ni nini.
So they might partner.
Kwa hivyo wanaweza shikamana.
They might help.
Wanaweza ungana.
But in the end,
lakini mwishowe
I'm seeing them biting USA.
Naona wakila.
American nations started with the letter R.
Na hiyo taifa imeanza na herufi R.
I won't say the proper name.
Sitasema jina lote.
So they will be overhead.
Watakuwa ni kama msaada.
But God will work in the eyes of this man, but it will be a bit late.
Lakini Mungu atafungua macho ya mtu, lakini itakuwa imechelewa.
They will penetrate a bit.
Itakuwa basi wamechelewa.
Russian spy ships spotted off Delaware coast. The Putin-Trump bromance might soon be put to the test, as various provocations by Russia have some officials pushing for new boundaries to be set. A Russian spy ship was seen patrolling in international waters off Delaware Tuesday, working its way up the east coast from Cuba. The Viktor Leonov is equipped with high-tech equipment capable of intercepting signals intelligence and is armed with surface-to-air missiles.
The US military shot down a Syrian fighter jet on Saturday. The White House is insisting the action was taken in self-defense, but the Russian and Syrian governments have condemned it. We'll get to our guests in a moment, but first this report from Stephanie Decker on the Turkey-Syria border in Gaziantep.
For the first time, the Americans have shot down a Syrian fighter jet. The US military issued a statement where it said pro-Syrian forces attacked their allies, the Syrian Democratic Forces, in a village southwest of Raqqa. They used the so-called deconfliction line with Russia to try to resolve the situation, but a Syrian jet came into the area soon after and dropped bombs near SDF positions, which is when a US F-18 jet shot it down, they say, in accordance with the rules of engagement and collective self-defense. The Russians say it's a step towards a dangerous escalation.
I've seen China people being hurt in a blessed blood. Yeah. We also people decided to partners. But as I say, people will love this man so much. For the Lord shall make him a trumpet. You see, this is the first mandate. It will continue until the second. Prophesy, Papa. The other things I saw, as I was walking in the space of the realm of the spirit, I saw bad rains over this year 2017. Bad rains that will cause really great scandal to some nations. Yeah, bad rain.
We're looking at these live pictures along with you and along with our audience, and so many people are writing in, watching that traffic camera shot on the left-hand side of your screen.
Crews have rescued thousands of stranded residents in Mumbai. India's financial capital flooded after receiving more rain in one day than it averages in a month.
Bad rains that will cause really great scandal to some nations. Yeah, bad rain.
Okay, so we're back at the Elwood Canal here. As you can see, there's been some serious more flash flooding occurring. It's getting pretty hairy now. Thanks to police are keeping people off the road, as you can see.
And a week-long heavy downpour in Mombasa has continued to wreak havoc in the city, with residential areas among those most affected. The heavy rains partly submerged some houses in Likoni, Changamwe, Kisauni and Nyali.
Many roads are impassable due to floods, making it difficult for motorists as they drive to work.
Bad rains. I listen to me. I saw bad rains really in some nations. And it was causing trouble in some nations. And yet, it's like I saw something turning. And I asked God, what is that? He said, this will be change of climate. Which that's what it will be the cause of bad rain to some nations. Some nations will start enjoying some sun. And some other places will become more colder. Which is going to disturb the agriculture. Things will not grow as it's supposed to grow. So people in agriculture, they will face a lot of loss this year. Why? Because of the changement of the climate.
367 million. That's the current estimate of agricultural losses due to statewide flooding in March and August of this year, according to the LSU Ag Center.
About 3/4 of that is from the August flooding alone. Now the clock is ticking fast for farmers to report that damage and for Congress to approve aid to help rural communities rise above the storm.
Fertile fields covered with water, cattle with no grass to eat. What you're looking at here is not from the August flood. This is from March of this year in North Louisiana. Shots which show the plight of Louisiana's farmers and ranchers this crop year.
Kenya declared a national disaster when more than 2 million people were affected by the drought that was reported to be the worst experience in this country in the last decade. Many longed for rain, and the meteorological department focused the April-long rains. And the rains came indeed, but the rains wreaked havoc. Here in Marsabit County in northern Kenya, many lost their cattle in the hundreds because of the sudden change of weather.
It's going to disturb the agriculture. Why? Because of the changement of the climate.
I am so sad I have a problem. Let me tell you. The reason this calf is so weak is because of the heavy rains. Also, it got too much mud, and it's bad for the animals.
East Africa is facing a catastrophe. Prolonged drought in Somalia, South Sudan, Ethiopia and Kenya has left more than 20 million people facing starvation. This has been described by the UN as the biggest humanitarian disaster since the Second World War. Turkana in northern Kenya is one of the worst affected regions. This is an arid, barren land, and it's hard to survive here in the best of times. But the drought has left the people here fighting for survival. Their crops have failed, and their animals are dying because they have no water or grazing.
As the current hunger situation is quickly deteriorating, questions have been raised about the Galana Kulalu irrigation project and what role it's playing in feeding those in need, especially at the coast. The National Irrigation Board, in its defense, says with its current acreage and seasonal harvest of 100,000 bags, it cannot sufficiently feed the coast.
This is an extremely rare occurrence, and the downpour of hailstorms caught the villagers completely by surprise. And even 12 hours after the storm, the forested hillside of Gadanje was still white. The hailstorms covered more than 200 hectares, causing panic since residents had never experienced such a phenomenon.
In the last few days, NTV has highlighted the plight of farmers in the county of Uasin Gishu, whose maize crop is rotting in the field due to the heavy rains being experienced in many parts of the country.
2017 is turning out to be a tough year for farmers. First came the drought, then the fall armyworms followed, and now there's too much rain. The maize harvesting season started mid-last month, coinciding with the onset of the short rain season. But the rain just won't let the farmers get their crop out of the field.
disturb the agriculture.
Italeta mapinduzi na ubaya katika kilimo.
Things will not grow as it's supposed to grow.
Mimea itakuwa vile inafaa.
People in agriculture, they will face a lot of loss.
Wakulima watapata mabaya na watapoteza.
This year.
Mwaka huu.
Why? Because of the changement of the climate.
Kwa nini? Kwa sababu majira yatabadilika.
I will tell you where to invest.
Takwambia vile itakuwa, mahali utaweka pesa zako. Prophesy papa.
So, which I saw it caused shortage of food.
Nikaona ya kwamba kulikuwa na chakula ambacho kimepimwa, hakuna chakula
in some nations.
Katika mataifa.
We are going to pray.
Tutaomba
specifically on that side.
Sababu ya mahali pale.
After the prophecy.
Baada ya unabii.
Even when you go home, you're going to pray.
Tokea nyumbani utaomba.
That God to give continents.
Ya kwamba Bwana apeane mataifa.
From bad rains that will keep people.
Aondolee mataifa mvua ya kuwaua.
Amen.
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 Thank you, Jesus. I'll just now get into Kenya.
Sasa taingia taifani hapa Kenya.
The rest I will do it later.
Tutafanya baadaye. Prophesy Baba. Mahali hapa.
In this place.
Katika mahali hapa.
I will repeat again.
Nitarudia tena.
I saw something happening.
Nikaona kitu kikitendeka.
People coming together, lining up.
Watu wakija pamoja wanajikusanya.
Putting in a small things.
Wakiwa wameweka mambo fulani.
Position somebody.
Ili ya kwamba wapige mtu.
So many people lining up there.
Kwa hivyo watu wengi wakiwa pale.
They're expecting something to happen.
Wanatarajia kitu kiwatendekee.
But this is the second mandate again.
Lakini sasa huyu na yeye ni kazi nyingine anapata ya pili.
So when I saw that,
nilipoona vile,
I saw a new positionment of people in the area of provinces, counties.
Nikaona watu wakijikusanya katika vyeo vya jiji, lakini kichwa.
When I saw that,
nilipoona vile,
I saw a new positionment of people in the area of provinces, counties.
Nikaona watu wakijikusanya katika vyeo vya jiji, lakini kichwa.
I wish to declare Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta as President-elect and Honorable William Ruto as the Deputy President-elect.
When I saw that,
nilipoona vile,
I saw a new positionment of people in the area of provinces, counties.
Nikaona watu wakijikusanya katika vyeo vya jiji, lakini kichwa ni kile tu.
And I asked the Lord, why do you remove all those people? And he said, he will fight corruption in this environment.
Kwa nini Bwana unawatoa? Kwa sababu Bwana anasema hivi, sikiza, atapigana na ufisadi katika hatimu ya pili.
I'm seeing people lessons as dominating over provinces, counties. All those that did not do well in this time has been removed.
Naona viongozi ambao wanaongoza jimbo wakiondolewa, wale hawafanya kazi vizuri.
A new faces over those who will be under him, but the head is still the same.
Sasa tutakuwa na nyuso zingine ambazo ni mpya, fanya kazi vizuri, lakini kichwa ni kile kile. Prophesy. Prophesy, Papa. Nimesema jina mimi nimesema jina. Mimi sitataja mtu. Papa. So, kwa hivyo
Holy Spirit, thank you. I saw specifically the ministry of health.
Nikaona sana
being the first.
Huduma ya afya ikiwa ya kwanza.
Be deal with.
Itashughulikiwa vilivyo.
I saw specifically the ministry of health.
Nikaona sana
being the first.
Huduma ya afya ikiwa ya kwanza.
Be deal with.
Itashughulikiwa vilivyo. Huduma ya afya ndio ambao aliweka ya kwanza.
There will be a lot of judgment in that place.
Itakuwa na mabadiliko mengi mahali pale.
Because God wants to raise Kenya to be a place where healing in hospitals shall be an attraction.
Maana Bwana anainua Kenya katika sekta ya afya. Itakuwa nzuri, italeta watu wengi waangalie kazi hiyo inafanywa namna gani.
Am I speaking to you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Holy Spirit.
Asante Roho Mtakatifu.
But when the head was positioned, I saw the enemy planning something which will distract him.
Kichwa kikisimama, shetani akapanga vitu ambavyo vitakuja kumchanganya.
Sickness,
ugonjwa,
attacking the family,
shika familia,
people around,
watu ambao wamemzunguka.
I'm seeing weird sickness.
Naona magonjwa hatari.
I'm speaking like this because we have a family here, so I will go deeper when I'm in there.
Na nena hivi kwa sababu tuna familia wengine hapa na nitashuka na kuzama nikikutana na wao.
Amen.
Amen.
So we have to pray for him.
Kwa hivyo lazima tumuombe.
And we have to pray for security of health.
Tuombe pia ulinzi wa afya
over families.
Juu ya familia.
Of those who watch over you.
Wale ambao wanakutazamia wewe.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Amen.
Thank you, Holy Spirit.
Asante Roho Mtakatifu.
But in the realm of the Spirit, I saw also tourism increasing.
Kwa ulimwengu wa kiroho nikaona sekta ya tourism ikiendelea.
Tourism is going to increase this year.
Itaendelea katika mwaka huu.
Well, I asked the Lord about the security, say, I will handle it, but when the people pray, continue praying, because that's one is going to happen.
Naambia Bwana kwa nini akasema ya kwamba wakiendelea kuomba tutaongeza utalii.
Tourism is going to increase.
Utalii utainuka.
Tourism is going to increase this year.
Itaendelea katika mwaka huu.
Well, I asked the Lord about the security, say, I will handle it, but when the people pray, continue praying, because that's one is going to happen.
Naambia Bwana kwa nini akasema ya kwamba wakiendelea kuomba tutaongeza utalii.
Tourism is going to increase.
Utalii utainuka.
Why am I saying that?
Kwa nini nasema vile?
I saw the place where you should invest.
Nikaona mahali ambapo unastahili uweke pesa zako.
Since agriculture is going to be tough.
Maana kilimo kitaguswa.
I had a question to ask.
Nikauliza maswali.
And he said to me,
na akaniambia petroli. Prophesy, Papa.
So quantity of petrol that will be discovered in Kenya, it will be bigger than what people were thinking.
Nikaona wingi wa petroli ambayo itapatikana Kenya imepita mataifa mengine.
And the petrol that will be found,
na petroli ambayo itapatikana,
it will be able to supply even East Africa.
Itaweza pia kushiriki katika mataifa ya Afrika, yaani mashariki ya Afrika.
Years later, and the country is set for the first phase of exportation of oil through the Early Oil Pilot Scheme that is set to start by June this year. Through this phase, the government has commissioned Tala Oil to transport it to Mombasa by road. The Early Oil Pilot Scheme is a rehearsal for the large-scale production that the government hopes to commence by 2022 with the construction of the 865-kilometer crude pipeline linking the Turkana oil fields to Lamu Port.
If we had not started this early oil program, we would be testing it on a full production of 100,000 barrels per day instead of 2,000 barrels per day.
So, petrol, when you want to look for where to invest in petrol.
Ukitaka kujua mahali utaweka pesa zako mwaka huu, eka kwa petroli. Yes, sir.
Things will go low.
Mambo yataenda chini.
So, petrol will be a good place for invest.
Petroli itakuwa mahali pazuri pa kuweka pesa zako.
And communication.
Na pia uhusiano.
And by this, if the government can use the petrol,
na kama serikali itatumia petroli,
the economy of Kenya will shift to another level.
Uchumi wa Kenya utapanda juu.
To God be the glory.
Bwana sifiwe.
The last one I want to speak to you.
Mwisho ambao nataka ninene.
Kenya, watch over your port.
Kenya, angalieni mahali meli zenu zinakaa.
The port of Kenya, Mombasa.
Mahali meli zinakaa kule Mombasa, pwani.
I saw something there.
Kaona kitu pale.
That will be more clear as you go.
Lakini itakuwa safi tukiendelea.
Because once I give that one, you have to pray.
Nikipeana hiyo lazima utaomba.
I can't give it to you just looking.
Sitakupatia tu wakati unatazama hivi unatazama.
So I spare more things.
Wimbo mwingine nakwambia baadaye.
As Maranatha family, I'll continue telling you.
Kama familia ya Maranatha tutaendelea kuongea.
Let's start.
Tusimame sote kwa jina la Yesu.
Stand as we close, hold your neighbor.
Simame, shika jirani yako.